Alright, now for ones that have this upward angle. Little vertical flat face right here. I am aware that this is hollowed out. My guess is that Lego is pretty good at designing things. They are hollowing this out to reduce material. What we're doing, hollowing this out, won't change the way they fit together. We can hollow this out. I can show you that process, but I am not necessarily requiring that. What you don't want to use here is shell. When we go to cut underneath, we need a spot for pins to go in. And if you shell it, since that's coming down on an angle, geometrically it makes it smaller than 5 millimeters. We're going to essentially create our own shell thickness. We can cut a specified distance, or we can use an offset from a surface, which I'm going to show you in the set of tutorials. Too long, 2, 4 wide. Sometimes these are used for like hulls of boats and planes, or fuselages of planes, and it has a plate that runs down the middle. You're just mimicking this on both sides for parts like that. So let's take a look at them. So again, the height on these is a single brick tall, which would put you at a height of 10. And then it's just the number of pins across the top. If I'm going to start with 2, 16, I have this small little vertical face down, and then it is flat across the bottom. Since a pin from another part would go here, this is 8 millimeters. And we would set this, one's not going to hurt you, but 0.5 is much closer to the actual measurement. So if this is a single pin wide, 8 millimeters, I have 2 pins that go on the top. Just keep them in the center. And 4 in for both sides. So up till now, we have gone right here and we have shelled this. Don't shell it. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. When I do this, this is not 5. This distance from here to here is longer than 1.5 because it's following this angled face. So don't shell these. We're going to create our own shell thickness. Another tool here is that we can offset. If I select this perimeter, instead of measuring 1.5 in, 1.5 in, or drawing a diagonal line and using a center rectangle, I can offset. And I want to offset 1.5 millimeters, which now gives me a distance of 5. I want to cut this. Granted, if I would shell, I would be creating a wall thickness of 1.5. So yes, I could subtract 8.5 millimeters. That works out fine. Just throwing in another tool here. I can go up to Object, and I can pick this top face, and I can offset it. I want to offset it away from that surface. Minus 1.5. I'll get the preview, 1.5 millimeters from the top, and hit OK. So there it is. If I really want to take the time to shell this out or hollow this out, it can be done. I am not requiring it. It doesn't change the fitment. It is just Lego saving material, which is smart on their part. I would make a 5x5 rectangle. And I would set another 5x5 rectangle and then connect these two together. So 1.5 would be the spacing here. So if I bisect this, I'll get pretty close. And actually it's a little thinner out here. Let's start that over. Again, you don't have to do this. But it can be done. Let's try from the edge. We'll just estimate this one. And this should be 7.5. No, it is not. This is 1.5. 6.5 is better. And the pin is actually hollowed out too. Shows you how often we hollow these out. I'm going to do that same feature where I go to cut. I'm going to cut in 2 directions. Why is it cutting that off? Let's just cut this off. When I go to cut this, I can't shell. It's going to hollow the whole thing out. Up to Object, to this surface, and offset it. Roughly 1.5 millimeters. Minus 1.5 millimeters. So that will hollow that out. And then we can come back and hollow the tube out. Are you kidding me? That's better. And then we'll come and hollow this tube out. So it can be done. I'd say it's too much work for what we're doing. That's why I don't require it. Okay. If it is 2 pins wide, because I centered them. It's fine. Some pins on the top. We use a center rectangle to create this geometry before. Again, don't shell the bottom. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut. By snapping this outside, I can offset it 1.5 millimeters. In this case, to the inside. And my 3 millimeter pin. And you're actually going to cut the pin in when you go to cut this. I'm going to opt to use offset from surface. So from this surface, minus 1.5 millimeters down. So if we have more pins across the top, the only difference would be that this length is 24. And you'd have another set of pins. And put your pins on the top.